Hello, everyone. My name is Barbara Armstrong. I'm a coach and senior manager with Charles Schwab. And in this series of short videos on candlestick patterns, today we're going to talk about the evening star pattern. We're going to discuss how an evening star pattern is created and what an investor might glean from seeing that pattern. What message is that pattern giving us? If you are not following me on X, my handle at Barb Armstrong CS, I invite you to do so. We're going to look at a couple of examples on the charts today, and I just want to reiterate that everything that we discuss here is for general information purposes only, none of it to be construed as an individualized recommendation or endorsement of any particular stock, chart pattern, or investment strategy. So having said that, here's our evening star pattern, and it is comprised of 3 candles. The first candle is big and it is bullish. And when we look at this pattern, it's only considered to be a valid pattern when it occurs at the top of an uptrend. So we have to keep that in mind. And then we look for our first candle to be big and bullish. The second candle should gap above the first and then have a very small body. And when we look at that small body, that could be a doji, or it could even be a hanging man type of pattern. And then our third candle is going to be big and it's going to be bearish, and it should penetrate deeply within the body of the first candle. Now, what might this be telling us as traders when we see this? Well, it's an indication in a shift in market sentiment and perhaps a reversal in, in the pattern, in the trend. Now, is it a long-term reversal? Well, it could be, but not necessarily. We can see this type of pattern occurring sometimes when we've had a significant uptrend, and then we see this pattern occur, and it might just pull back for a few days and then continue on up. So we could see this within a bull flag type pattern. We call this, this would be our flag part of the pattern right here. But when we see this pattern, is it a guarantee? Well, there are no guarantees, but this pattern is considered to be complete when we see those 3 candles happen in that configuration at the top of an uptrend. And what we don't need to see is confirmation. So it isn't necessary to see another bearish day, day 4, in order to consider placing a trade. Okay, now let's go and look at a couple of examples on the chart. So the first one we're going to look at is AVGO. And when we look at AVGO, we can see here on this day, we had a big bullish day. So there's candle number 1. Candle number 2, the next day it gapped up and we had a small body on that candle and it hit a new 6-month high that day. And then on day 3, we had a bearish candle that penetrated through the majority of the body of day 1. And this one turned out, to look like, at least so far, one of those bull flag type patterns that I was talking about where, we had something come up and then pull back and then continue on up. So, part of a trend, potential trend continuation. Now, if we come and we look at ADI, and we're coming back a little further in time here, we had a big bullish day when we come in here. So we had a big bullish day, so that's day 1, very small body, gapped up on day 2, and then on day 3, a big red candle. Now, and we consider this, it's during an uptrend, so it's at the top of an uptrend. The next day, did the stock go down? It didn't. So, there are no guarantees with these patterns, but as it did turn out, the trend did reverse. So it is a sign that the sentiment in the uptrend might be changing. And that could be on a short-term basis, or it could be on a longer-term basis. And if we wanted to look at one additional example, we could look at, oops, try again, at Autodesk. And here's another example. A stock gapped up after earnings, continued up. We have a big up day, gaps up. We have a very small body on the next candle, and then a bearish day penetrating, deeply within the candle of day one. And the next day it did continue to move to the downside. So I hope you have found this helpful and informative. Keep coming back. There will be lots more in this series. If you're new to looking at charts, I invite you to join me for Getting Started with Technical Analysis on Tuesdays. I'll put a link to that series in the show notes below, and there will also be a link at the end of this video. Take care, everyone. Have an awesome day.